Say the Raiders are dirty. Yeah, we're dirty. Yeah. What are you going to do about it?
To Casper!
A perfect fit. Just didn't see a Raider. I just wanted the game a
2-0 lead. It was their turn to put the...
From 2001 to 2004.
I tell you every time, get all of it from me, all right? Give me everything you got, let's see what happens.
That is just a wild play.
It's Crosby, who forced a fumble last week, making a judge one tackle.
Let's go. It's the first ever Raider Marine podcast with your boy, the Raider Marine, out here spitting facts all day, every day. Okay, let's work with it. What we're going to talk about today in the first episode is AP, Antonio Pierce, ex-head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about why he got fired and what's next, okay? So, let's get into it. First off, let's talk about AP. I mean, I don't mind AP as a man. I think he has the traits that can make him a great head coach one day down the road with experience. I think most Raider fans understand that the lack of experience showed this season and even last season when he was coaching on the field. We'll talk about, his wins, who he won against, such as, a bunch of backups, Easton Stick, Spencer Rattler, Mac Jones. I would say out of the 9 wins, he's only had 2 wins against quality quarterbacks, and that's, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes in 2 years. He also was beat by several backup quarterbacks. He was even beat by Baker Mayfield with no practice with the Rams. For him to go throw a touchdown pass and win the game is absolutely embarrassing. But that was last season and the season before. But this season was a disaster. To win only 4 games with the talent we had on the roster, even with the quarterback situation the way it was, if the games were managed better and the team played with more fire, I feel like we could have definitely won more games. And the fact that we won 2 games without Max Crosby proves that. Okay, so I want to talk about bad game management, talk about, how many coaches he had in his ear all at once, which was a problem. I think if you're going to be a head coach, you should be the one leading the squad, not, looking for answers through other people. I know you get help as a head coach, but I think as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, it needs to be somebody who can take lead and isn't following what others are saying to them and being guided by several different coaches all in his ear at the same time. I think that's an issue. It's really an issue in any workplace environment, so why would that not be an issue with a football team? I'm also going to talk about the top 4 candidates that are, rumored to be wanting to be interviewed or getting interviewed and what we've requested. I'm going to talk about those guys and my top 4 and who I would want to be the next head coach of those Las Vegas Raiders. Before I get into anything else, I also want to start introducing Raiders of the Day in my episodes. Some of them are going to be guys some of them are going to be guys most Raider fans don't really pay attention to, don't know. Try to get them out there so, Raiders fans could have an appreciation for those guys too, because every guy in the building's in there putting in work. And I think, we should shine light on every single person wearing the silver and black, not just the main guys, the big timers. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the boy, Brock Bowers. I got to 13th overall pick out of the University of Georgia, 2-time John Mackey Award winner, national champion. A lot of Raider fans thought it was a reach to go after him since we already had, Michael Mayer. But I understand, in this day and age, you got to draft the best player available. And it worked out in our favor. Tom Telesco proved that sometimes you got to do what, most people don't see ahead of time and just do it. Go with that. And it worked out. He's a rookie. He's got the rookie record for receptions and yardage in an NFL season for the first season, whether tight end, wide receiver, anybody. He's broke several Raider records for receptions. And, I mean, he's an absolute stud. One of the best football players I've seen on tape. His catch radius is insane for a tight end. His power, his speed. I think we underutilized them. I mean, believe it or not, I think we could use them more in the run game, create some diversion away from the running back, since that was one of our. Shout out to the Brocky Poo, Brock Bowers. Let's go. Thank you for your season. Thank you for putting in that work. We appreciate you. We got a bright future ahead of you. Okay, what we're going to talk about next is the 4 candidates that are scheduled for interviews that I believe, or that are no rumors are circulating, that I believe should be our next head coach. We're going to start with Liam Cohen. He's the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's helped lead a resurgence for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's, I believe, 3rd in touchdown passes on the season with 41, which, I mean, who would have saw that Baker Mayfield was going to throw for 41 touchdowns this season? I didn't. I know most of you guys didn't either. So I think he's a guy that we should look into. He's a younger guy. You know, he's known for his prowess in developing offensive systems, developing players, developing the quarterback. And obviously that's our biggest need at the moment. That's something we need to address. So I think he's a good candidate. I'm going to say my number 3 candidate, I'm going, basically who I think from least to the best as my number 1 candidate would be the guy who I would ideally want. So number 3, I'm going to say Cliff Kingsbury. He's the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. We obviously had a chance at him for offensive coordinator, but didn't want to give him a multi-year deal. And I think that played into, him jumping ship. Not only that, we didn't really have a quarterback in place, and why not want to go coach a young guy, and it turned out great for him. Jaden Daniels probably going to win Rookie of the Year, which, I think is ridiculous because Brock definitely should have the Rookie of the Year, but that's a whole nother story. He's led, the Commanders to the playoffs his first year as offensive coordinator, and the offense is humming. Jaden Daniels is doing pretty well. I like the scheme. I watched several Commander games this season, and I like the way he schemed up plays. I like the tempo they played and how well he was able to incorporate Terry McLaurin into the mix as well with the rookie quarterback. So I think he's a name that people should look out for. I'd say my second coach that I would want to be hired is probably Pete Carroll. I know a lot of people are probably going to scoff at that, but I think Pete Carroll is one of the greatest, most underrated coaches there's been in all of football. He was a great college coach, great NFL coach, won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, could have won 2. He's a great defensive backs guy. He trains up defenses. I mean, he's a big part of why the Legion of Boom was so successful in those days, and helped them be perennial Super Bowl contenders. And I might have a little bias because I'm a USC fan, but I do know how great Pete Carroll is, and that would be a home run hire to me. The only reservations I have, I think, is his age. I think he's a little old. He's still spunky, doesn't seem very old, but, age always plays a part. Father Time's undefeated. So that's probably my only reservation with Pete Carroll. The number 1 guy I think we should go after is Ben Johnson. He's a great offensive mind. I'm reprehensible because he seemed as if he wasn't ready to be a head coach. I don't know if that's necessarily a good or a bad thing, but he was kind of hesitant on taking jobs. He wanted to, stay in Detroit, which now seems to be a good decision. He's an offensive guru. He's got, one of the top offenses in the NFL currently. 3 of his offensive players are in the top 5 in stats and scoring and yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown's top 5. He's got 2 running backs in the top 10 for touchdowns scored this season. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jared Goff is 4th in touchdown passes. So I think our biggest problem this season wasn't the defense. I know the defense had some issues, but a lot of that was due to the turnovers that the offense kind of put them in a position to where, you know, it's kind of hard to come back from when you're on the field constantly. So I think we need an offense that scores touchdowns just like any other team does to win games. Our defense isn't that elite to where we can, you know, afford to not have a strong offensive team and still win games. That's something that, you know, definitely needs to change if the Raiders are going to ever come back to the playoff contention. But I think those 4 candidates are good. I've been hearing a bunch of different names out there. You know, I don't know about Robert Saleh. I'm not feeling that. I know Bill Belichick was up there. I would have been down for Bill Belichick because he's the greatest coach of all time. I don't think really anybody can argue that. People try to say Brady carried him, but, you know, Brady wasn't the GM. Brady wasn't the one, you know, drafting Gronk and drafting those great players that helped Tom Brady win too. I think they both were equally as, you know, a part of the success they both had. And I think he would have been great for our organization, but he's not leaving UNC, so that's not going to be an option. But, you know, that's the thing about the coaching carousel. You never really know what's going to happen. Guys will interview, you know, the Rooney Rule, you know, doesn't really do much of anything, I don't think. And I think people should be hired based on their experience, not really anything else. I mean, I get, you know, the owner listening to the players and, you know, having people in his ear and all that, but I think you need to dig into these people's resumes and find out what they're good at and if it's going to help your football team. But I think we'd be pretty good. I think we're gonna be okay as long as we could get a coach with an offensive. That's the reason why I like Pete Carroll a lot. Pete Carroll is not necessarily an offensive coach, but he can handle a group of men, and I think that's something that we've been missing. Even with Antonio Pierce, he was more rah-rah. You know, he didn't really. I mean, he commanded respect, but in a different way. I think Pete Carroll would go into the building and everyone would recognize the success he's had and follow that lead. So that's why I think he's a really intriguing option. But, you know, only time will tell. So, you know, I appreciate you guys listening in. I appreciate you guys watching. Everybody that's been reaching out to me, you know, encouraging me. I appreciate you guys, you know, and this isn't really my thing, but I'm gonna push forward, do my thing. Hopefully it works out well. I'm doing what I love. This is what I love to do. I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this for views, notoriety. I'm just doing this because I love talking football. If you guys can give me a subscribe, give me a like, follow, turn your notifications on. Every time I post a video, you guys get a notification. I'm going to try to bang these out, bang them out. I think the next thing I'm going to talk about is our draft coming up and free agency coming up and figuring out what players we should sign that'll help our football team improve. Also talk about Max Crosby, see what our options are with Max. I think Max Crosby is a great player, but I also realize that, you know, paying a defensive end almost $40 million kind of hinders your team doing anything for the rest of the team. It's just like paying a quarterback $40 million. It narrows your options in regards to signing a depth and, you know, players all around that'll, you know, help the football team because Max is only on the field half the game. And we also won 2 games without Max this season, so there's that. I mean, I love Max Crosby, but, you know, if you're going to be the best, you're going to, you know, want to be the best player in the league, you got to have more than half of the seasons in the league. You know, you got to have more than half of those years be double-digit sack seasons. And he doesn't turn the ball over, which is a big problem for us. That's something we're definitely missing. We need a guy on the other side of the ball that will just give the ball back to the offense. And we had that with Khalil Mack. That's why I think we were so successful at that time, because Khalil Mack was very good at creating turnovers. And I think, you know, that's the thing the defense needs to work on, turnovers. You know, you get turnovers, it even with the worst of offenses, it pumps the offense up and gets them moving, provides a spark. So I think that's something we need to get. We need to get ball hawks. We need to get players. So that's something I'm going to visit next episode. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for, you know, tuning in, checking me out, It's the Raider Marine, your boy. Yee, let's get it. So, like, subscribe, hit that, follow button, follow on TikTok, follow on Instagram. Appreciate all y'all. I'm out.